in weather in a way that we cannot control. But rather than throw our hands up and give up, we're thinking there are interventions such as drought-resistant seed, early sprouting seed, flood-resistant seed. There's mulching, there's the use of trenching to ensure conservation. There's hay and silage for the people that are in the animal husbandry. We need to invest more in hay and silage and ensure that we are making hay indeed for the lean times. The second way is around climate mitigation, and here we're looking to do our bit in limiting or reducing the emissions of greenhouse gases within the atmosphere. And so our focus here is the migration to cleaner sources of energy around solar, around hydro, and one of the ways that we're thinking, or some of the ways that we're thinking of, is agroforestry. I came to learn recently that planting any tree just doesn't cut it. We'd rather focus on indigenous species like albizia. I came to learn over breakfast now macadamia as well is indigenous. And they have the advantage of bringing about tree cover, shade, the required canopy that we need, as well as nitrogen fixation. And then with macadamia, for instance, you also have the nut. So agroforestry is one of the ways that we can do that, because when we have more tree cover, we are increasing the greenhouse gas sinks that help us absorb carbon dioxide from our atmosphere. The third, and very important as well, is biodiversity conservation. Here we're looking after plant and animal life above and below the ground. We're looking at worms, we're looking at ants, we're looking at birds, we're looking at the bees. And here what we're looking at is, for instance, even as we do climate change adaptation, what type of fertilizers are we using? What type of pesticides are we using? We're better off using organic pesticides, organic fertilizers, so that we do not tamper with the ecosystem of the environment that we are operating in and working in. So there are three key strands. If there's anything you remember from me today, is one, we're launching a 7.5 billion shilling fund, and that we're intervening in three key ways, which is climate change adaptation, climate change mitigation, and biodiversity conservation. So who is invited, who's eligible, who am I speaking to? I'm speaking to you all, our agribusiness actors. I'm speaking to the financial institutions. I'm speaking to the agriculture sector. I'm speaking to us all in the room and virtually online. And prior to this event, and I'd like to thank indeed you, our partners, you've responded to our calls, and we have engaged you quite a number of times as we were putting together this challenge fund. We brought the eligibility criteria to you, we brought our application forms, we brought these concepts to you, and you critiqued them and gave us your input, and we've heard and we've listened. And so this morning I'm very pleased to announce, for instance, that this Green Challenge Fund is open to the private sector in the agribusiness world. We're talking scientists, we're talking researchers, we're talking indeed processors, we're talking NGOs, we're talking extension workers, we're talking veterinary institutions, we're talking anybody that has an idea, is acting within the agriculture and agribusiness sector, and you think you have a very good idea that would have an impact, not just for you, but for smallholder farmers, for your locality, for your community, for this country, to ensure that we are prospering and doing well and contributing really to equitable wealth creation. And so in that regard, we have three broad areas that we're looking at in terms of eligibility. And when you go to our website, you will see that we have tried to reduce or minimize the barriers to entry. This challenge is so huge, it is so grave, it is so important that we bring all hands on deck and ensure that as many of you as can participate are given the opportunity to. And so in that regard, we start with ideation. And here we're looking at especially youth. Many times the youth in our country complain for lack of access to opportunities, lack of access to capital, but that they are equipped, and it is indeed true, they have the right ideas. So under the ideation category, we're looking to finance, invest, and partner with anyone with ideas that require between 5 million to 30 million shillings. Can even be below, as long as it's compelling. You have this one idea, and all you need is somebody to take a chance on you, to test this idea. So 5 million to 30 million in our estimate ought to be able to cover that. We'll walk with you, monitor you, and learn from you. We're willing to take that risk. If it doesn't work out, so be it, but chances are we're going to get some brilliant ideas that will indeed save this sector, save this country, save this world. Then with the piloting segment, again, many of you have crossed the ideation stage. You're in the micro segment, you're in the small segment, and you have these very good interventions, but what you need is an opportunity to pilot it a bit more. You know, maybe if you're working in a particular district, you want to take it and maybe expand to the surrounding districts. Maybe you want to do peer-to-peer extension services. You think that you can take your coffee planting. I was talking to Mr. James Kisale this morning, and he was talking to me about an idea where they're getting extension services or extension workers from one area, a coffee growing area, and want to try it, I believe in Budaka or something like that. So you have that type of idea and you need it financed. For this category, we're willing to invest between 50 million and 200 million shillings. We think that, you know, that is a decent amount to help you pilot and let's see this idea. And then now I'm talking to the mature people in the room, the agribusiness actors that have been around for more than 2 years. We expect that you've had experience, you know what you're doing, and that we can count you and entrust you with a lot more of investments and finance. And for this, we're looking to invest up to 500 million, and should the ideas and opportunities be very compelling, we're willing to bust those caps. Nothing that we're saying today in these eligibility criteria is cast in stone. Nobody wants to shy away from success, so if we see compelling ideas and arguments, we're willing to make changes and adjustments. We're receiving quite a bit of interest in this fund, and we're quite confident that we might need a bit more to cover the demand, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So really, this is a call to you agribusiness actors in the room and online, and if you can spread the word, please do. Please visit our website, www.abi.co.ug, and especially after the launch this morning, it will be live, and we will be receiving applications. We've included an evaluation criteria. It is literally an open book exam. As I said, the barriers to entry are extremely low. We want to do everything we can for you to succeed. Please feel free to get in touch with your relationship partners, your relationship managers within aBiD for further information. And even after this launch, in 10 days' time, we intend to have a similar engagement when after you have had a chance to work on the documents, are starting to work on your applications. Tell us what isn't working, where you need clarification, and we will be happy to support you to ensure that you succeed. We're here and we're determined that all your brilliant ideas must succeed and must see the light of day. To our financial institution partners, and here I'm talking to the aBiD finance partners, you might be wondering, where are we and what's in it for us today? As you're aware, we're having a breakout session for you, and these are some of the series of engagements that we're having that we had, for instance, with the VCD, the value chain actors. And with you, in our breakout session, you're going to hear from the apex bodies with whom you work, Uganda Bankers Association. We're going to hear from Uganda Institute of Bankers and Financial Services, the Association of Microfinance Institutions in Uganda, and the FinTech Association. And with them, we also will be joined by the Global Green Growth Institute, where we're having an expert, Mr. Tigran, Dr. Tigran, who will join us to support us in developing the appropriate products and services to finance the solutions that the agribusiness actors want today. So we've not forgotten about you, and we're going to have a series of engagements where we will indeed bring our market solutions soon. So as I conclude, on behalf of the management and staff at aBiD, would like to sincerely thank our development partners, our shareholders, the Royal Danish Embassy, the Investment Fund for Developing Countries, the European Union, for your steadfast support over the last 12 years. And it is on the back of this support, as I'd mentioned, we reckon that we're going to see an overwhelming response to this Green Challenge Fund, and we know that some of you might be listening to me, development partners, private sector actors, wealth funds, pension funds that are looking to intervene in this climate change issue. They are looking to make a contribution. Come and speak to aBiD. We've been here for 12 years. We have the people who know what to do, the systems. We have a network of incredible implementing partners, both the value chain actors and the financial institutions. So should you be compelled and want to join us, please feel free to reach out to us, and we will be reaching out to you anyway. As always, we are indebted to our government, the government of Uganda, for the enabling and economic environment that we operate in. We remain grateful to our board members, led by our chair. Thank you for the governance. Thank you for the steadfast leadership. Thank you for the direction. I remain indebted to my colleagues in management and staff who have worked tirelessly to bring this challenge to fruition, who have debated and listened and refined, and finally it culminates in our launch this morning. I'm very, very grateful, and thank you very much. And lastly, and certainly not least, our implementing actors. You are the heroes and heroines of the day, of the year, of our time. Without you taking the risk, without you bringing forward your ideas, without your partnerships, none of this would be possible. We celebrate you, we honor you, we thank you very much, and we look forward to a very fruitful and engaging journey with you on this Challenge Fund and beyond. Thank you very much for your attention, and I look forward to engaging with you further. And please feel free to engage with any members of the aBiD management team and staff for any further information. If there's anything that you remember from me today, www.abi.co.ug for the aBiD Green Challenge Fund. Let's go green. Thank you very much.
Oh yes, thank you very much. Onamuko Sebuliba, the CEO of aBiD Finance and the acting CEO of aBiD Development. I feel like I don't even know how to add to that because you broke it down in so many ways. I was ready to emphasize the website, and you did that right at the end, but I shall go there again because many of you here right now might have been like, what did she say? Or if you're joining us virtually, again, remember that is www.abi.co.ug. And one of the things that I love that you said is it's not rigid. It's not too structured. It's all about ideas, innovation, creativity. And that only comes when we work together, when we support new ideas, because the world is changing and we have to adapt to be able to face these changes and to prosper at the end of the day. So ladies and gentlemen, I think you now have a much better understanding of the Green Challenge Fund, green agribusiness investments for climate change, adaptation, mitigation, and biodiversity conservation. Yes? We are together. Okay, wonderful. Now allow me to welcome the chair of the board, that is aBiD, Mr. Felix Okoboy.
As Christo said, it's difficult coming after Mona. I'm not nearly as eloquent, but I shall give it my best shot. So just to observe protocol, to welcome all our guests, representatives from our development partners and shareholders, Royal Danish Embassy, International Investment Fund for Developing Countries, and the European Union. Our keynote speaker, who is going to be attending virtually, Dr. Male Fontana from the Green Growth Institute, Global Green Growth Institute. He's the Regional Director for Africa. The representatives for our strategic partners who are all here, who have been with aBiD for a very long time, GGGI, USAID, CEDA, FAO, and UNCDF. among others. Implementing partners, agribusiness actors, financial sector actors, current, past, and prospective. The aBi boards that are here, as Crystal told you, aBi, as you know, it is 2 companies, have separate governance structures, boards and management, except for the vice chair and the chair. So we welcome all of my fellow board members and the management and staff of aBi. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, as they say. So a good morning to all of you. Thank you for attending, whether it's physical or virtual. And on behalf of the 2 boards of aBi Development and aBi Finance, I welcome all of you. I must tell you, and I think this is something my fellow directors know and the staff know, we're very excited about this initiative. It has been in the kitchen for some time. This is something that our shareholders are very supportive and keen on, and it's something that is very needed for not just Uganda, but globally as well. I think we've reached that point where, and this would not maybe have been the case 15 years ago, but we have reached that point where climate change can't be ignored and the effects thereof. So there used to be a time when many of us, myself included, I wouldn't say I'm an expert on the effects of climate change, but it was something people struggled with. It was some esoteric, exotic concept. It was something that was happening to other people, which obviously is not the case now. So we are very pleased that we are dealing with this, and we are very happy with the progress that we have made so far. And before I do anything, I just want to thank, at this point early on, the aBi management and staff, led by Mona, for actually putting this together, doing the heavy lifting, and getting this over the line. So I think let's give them a round of applause. It has been a lot of work for them, and on that I would like to thank the boards of aBi as well. So the importance of agriculture and the agribusiness sector to this country specifically has been emphasized, and I don't think anyone will doubt that importance. The statistics are clear. Most people are engaged in this sector. This sector is the key sector for Uganda, so it's not something that can be ignored. It is this sector that is the most impacted by climate change for obvious reasons. aBi's key mission is to have a sustainable agribusiness and agricultural sector in Uganda, and to make sure that it's not only sustainable, that it's competitive and profitable as well. So obviously, we would be very keen on combating the effects of climate change as aBi. Mona has provided a very rich background to this, so I'm not going to try and add to that. She has unpacked the details of the effects of climate change. She has unpacked the details of the fund. I will not go over that real estate again. Just to say, obviously, just to state the obvious, but to emphasize it, climate change is real. When you have several different engagements which relate to climate change, you see it in the small things, which are big things for our partners, and in the way they have to do business. We were talking to a group, I think it was a couple of months ago, we were talking to a group of poultry farmers, and I see some actors here who are in the poultry sector. And they were talking about how a change in a couple of degrees affects yields for their chickens. So you can just imagine, we're just talking about minute changes having huge effects on the commercial viability of many businesses in Uganda. So this is a big issue. Mona has mentioned quite a few examples where we see the effects of climate change really hammering our business sector in Uganda. And this is something that's happening across the world, so it's not just Uganda. So the question then is, if it's such a big issue, why aren't we trying to do something about it? And I think that's really the question that the Green Challenge Fund is trying to answer. This is a big issue, that's what we're saying. And we're saying, as Mona told you, there are some risks involved in trying to tackle this. No one has all the answers. We certainly do not, and that's exactly why we're partnering with you. And we're willing to take those risks together with you to address the issues of our time. Because climate change, the effects of climate change, and the need to adapt and mitigate climate change are the real issues of our time. And at this moment, I don't think there are many people in the world who could doubt that this is the largest issue of our time. It's not an exaggeration to say that it is existential. So the Green Challenge Fund is what we will make of it. So it is, as Mona has mentioned with the management team, this is not going to be very prescriptive. It's going to be solving issues that are going to be baked and cooked together with you, together with all the partners, to get solutions that really address the issues of climate change, which are the issues of our time. So we are committed to piloting this. We're launching that today. We're also committed to upscaling it, and as the shareholders and the boards of the aBiD entities are willing to actually go down this road for the long term. And so this is a beginning, but this is something that we are committed to doing and upscaling as the need and demand arises. So I really welcome you. I think this is something that if you're in this sector, even if you are not big or knowledgeable on green, which many of us are not, this will impact you. Climate change and the effects of climate change will impact you. And so this is not something that anyone is going to be able to run away from. So I think if we partner together to sort this out, at least to pilot new ideas, to get some exciting concepts on the ground, we will all, not just individually, as people and companies, but also as a country, will all be better for it. So this is going to be a priority for aBiD development and aBiD finance. So this is going to be our key focus going forward. It's something that allows us to really help businesses be sustainable, but also helps us address, as I said, the challenges of our time. We're committed to ESG principles and ESG frameworks, and we're keen on promoting those as we go on. This is well attended, and I want to thank our development partners for their commitment to funding this and to supporting this, not just with capital, but with a lot of technical knowledge. So our keynote speaker, Dr. Male Fontana from the Global Green Growth Institute, is going to come in with a wealth of knowledge, vast experience. GGGI also is going to be supporting aBiD and the implementing partners through this journey. So we're very grateful for that. This is something where a lot of us, all of us really, will need to do a lot of learning, and that's fine. And that's fine. As long as we're committed to tackling this, we'll all get this across over the line. We welcome any prospective partners who are willing to work with us on this. So this is something that doesn't end here and doesn't end today. It's not, we're not setting up a fund that after funds have been dispersed, it's closed. This issue is going to be with us for a long time, and it won't get solved completely by the Green Challenge Fund. One issue I want to bring out is that aBiD is very keen on supporting awareness of this issue, just so that we can all learn, we can all get onto the same page. Because I don't think it's an issue that is well discussed nationally, and I don't think that it's an issue that is receiving the attention it deserves, and we definitely have to do our part in promoting awareness of this issue. So like the management team has said, we commend and thank the government of Uganda for providing the enabling environment and conducive environment for us to be able to tackle these issues. Without that, it would not be possible. And certainly without the government of Uganda, which partnered with the government of Denmark to found aBiD, we would not be here. I would also want to extend our gratitude to our implementing partners. Some are new, some have been with us for a very long time. But all in all, we've walked this journey that has gotten us here. Let's take this to the next level and address some of the issues that are affecting you and affecting our country here as a whole. So we look forward to deepening these partnerships in this greening initiative. And lastly, I've already done this, but I really want to get back to it and thank the aBiD management and staff. We would not be able to launch this if they had not put in a lot of hard work. And before I leave, I would just urge you once again to give them a round of applause for all the work they have put in. This is just a culmination of months and years of hard work. They had nothing to do with the breakfast, but they had everything to do with everything else. Thank you. The aBiD board members have been introduced, so I will not introduce them again, lest I put them on the spot. I just want to end this by saying, let's engage deeply today. Let's have a lot of discussion. There will be a lot to happen after this. If you have questions, the aBiD management and staff and the board, if you need us, are also on hand to answer any questions. We wish you all the success in working with us in this initiative. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the lunch. Thank you.
The board chair of aBiD, Mr. Felix Okoboy. Now, in life we're told to latch onto the things that we're passionate about. And that is how, in many ways, you impact others. And a big part of taking on something that you're passionate about is taking the risks. And that is what we see with a lot of our implementing partners as well. And I have to say, one of the things that I'm passionate about, if for anyone who knows me, even though I work in the media, I worked on traditional radio, traditional television, I work online as well. I've crossed over into the online space. And one of the passions I carried with me was my passion for food, my passion for not only eating good food, it started there if I'm going to be very honest, but then it took me over into cooking and sharing, and that's the whole point. Our existence is about sharing, working together. The board chair said baking and cooking at some point, and I paid attention. I'm like, okay, yes, I like where this is going. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have to work together. And just a reminder that the Green Challenge Fund is a 7.5 billion shilling fund. So again, to scientists, to researchers, to NGOs, and to the youth, to young people who sometimes have brilliant ideas, but no way to make them come to life, no support, no financing. This is what it is all about. Now, we've spoken a lot about implementing partners, and they can share experience. Sometimes you hear about things, just like you were saying about climate change. We heard about it, but now we're feeling it. And real life examples are the only way that you can paint a very clear picture. So I'd like to invite our first speaker from our implementing partners to share their experience here with us. Please give a warm welcome to the General Manager of the Ankole Coffee Producer Cooperative Union, that is Mr. John Nwagaba.
ABI board, the financiers, and all implementing partners. I'm waiting now for the slide. They have said that we give testimony, and you know when you give a testimony, you don't give it in bits, but you give the full testimony. Though because of time limit, I will try to condense my testimony. It's about the climate challenge. So you can go to the next slide. Next slide. I will give you a brief background of Ankole Coffee Producers Cooperative Union. We started in 2008 with a humble working capital of about 1.5 UGX. Some of you have it in your pockets as loose change, but for us as an organization, that was our working capital. Secondly, we had 10 primary societies. Now we have grown to 26 primary societies with over 15,000 grassroots farmers. And we grow mainly coffee at an altitude ranging between 1,400 to 1,850, which is ideal for fine robusta's. We also get an average rainfall of about 1,200 millimeters, though I think now this has changed from what I'm seeing. What does climate change mean to us? It's no longer a book story, it is a reality. This photograph, I took it, I think, over the weekend in our neighborhood. You can see what is happening to our coffee. The coffee is drying up. We last had rainfall, I think, in the first week of May. So when you talk of Karamoja, even the story is spreading to other areas. It means now all crops are drying up. The maize failed. So it means we are again in the trouble. Okay, now we are on the ecological risks in Ankole region. We take this with our partner. The green shows it's a bit okay. Then the red or orange shows that it talks about drought. Originally, we used to hear drought 89, 99, 209. So it was like having an average of every 10 years you get a drought. Every 10 years, but now the story has changed. Then when you look at the acidity, we have had some work on it. Most of the soils now in Bushenyi or Ankole, the acidity, the pH is less than 5. The standard would be around 7, which would be like neutral, 14. It goes on the one side, then below 7, now you are going to soil being acidic. And for us, as coffee growers, we need soils that are not acidic, but with a lot of alkaline. So it means with this kind of pH, it cannot support good coffee production. Then the soil nutrients are also going down. The soil moisture is also very critical, and it is also at a very low level. Then the vegetation quality is very weak. Most trees have been cut. Then the deforestation. We think in the last 10 years, we have lost most of our trees, and all grounds are bare. Then erosion is also too much. Next slide. This is the standard precipitation in our area index. The red or whatever color you look at is in negative, showing where we have got severe drought. As I talked, if you look at 98, that was around 99, it was coming after every 10 years. But if you look at around 2019, there was severe drought because the bar goes down. Now 2022, just a span of 2 years, again, there is severe drought. The blue one shows where at least we didn't have much drought, which was positive. But again, you see the frequency of rain. There is where you get too much rain within a short time. It is also becomes destructive. You plant, when you are about to harvest, there is too much rain. The next day, the rain disappears. Again, now the drought is coming more often, so that means we must do something hard enough to save this country. Next slide. Now, what are the impacts of climate change? We have more of what we call the red blisters. You find now the scientists don't have a ready-made cure for this kind of disease in coffee. They are still studying it, and it is giving us a big loss. The other challenges is the premature ripening that reduces the quality of our coffee, the high levels of fruit abortion, and then the long dry period, which causes a lot of scarcity of water in the plant, and then the plant gets distressed. Then we get unpredictable rainfall patterns. It is on, it is off. These are the biggest challenges we are facing as farmers, not only producing coffee, but also growing other crops. Next slide. Again, we have now increased diseases and pests. Some of these pests were existing in the natural forests and bushes, but because we have eliminated the forests, now they have come to our gardens, and science does not have an immediate solution for this kind of outbreaks. Then we still have a big challenge of irregular flowering. When you have irregular flowering, it means the beans will not mature at the same time. And it does not make economic sense. You pick one bean here, you pick another bean here. When you have uniform flowering, then somehow you have even picking. You find it's easier for you to pick your coffee when there is even flowering. Then we also have big challenge of landslides, big soil erosions, because rainfall comes in one go, it rains for 2 days, again it disappears. And all these affect our earnings. We have worked with aBiD since 2013, and it has helped us to move forward as an organization. We are engaged in some projects that are moving towards greening. The picture you see in the slide is a lady who is using an improved cook stove. In this cook stove, instead of using like 8 pieces of firewood, this person is able to use 1 piece. And if you cook a meal at lunchtime, the heat that has been generated inside can able to keep the food warm for dinner. I have a school where I'm chair of management. We have introduced them. In a time they used to use like 8 trucks of fuel wood. Now they use only 2. It is a step forward, though it is not a final solution, because under this system, we still generate a lot of carbon in the atmosphere. We have also, okay. The lower part is where we are trying to go solar with some of our farmers so that they can stop using kerosene, which also generates a lot of carbon in the atmosphere. Another important thing we have done with our partners, we are doing our own organic manure, which we started last year. It's lactobacillus, and we use the local ingredients. They are all 100% sourced locally, and we are working with the youth. It is liquid manure, which can be applied on all crops, and it is organic. And for us, we are in organic production. It is doing wonders. You can apply it on beans, you can apply it on coffee, you can apply it in bananas. Now we are doing some partnership with unemployed youth because it is labor intensive in application, and you have to apply it after every 12 days, and you apply it for like 3 months, you stop. But it is a good fertilizer, and we are in the process of registering it. Next slide. We have also, working with aBiD, we have done a lot of capacity building. Last year we did a capacity building of about 8,000 farmers in the climate change mitigation, in trenching, as you see in the picture, in the planting of shade trees, and more so the indigenous trees, which are used to the environment, like ficus, like musizi, like aBiD. But also it is hard to introduce them to the farmers. The farmers have smaller plots, they don't want trees, but through education and encouragement, we are making a breakthrough, but it is still a long way to go to make sure this kind of project succeeds. We also work with research. We work with Nakori, and they are introducing to us the resistant varieties. More so, there are lines of coffee that are resistant to drought, and I testify that I have benefited from this project. The coffee I planted, even through this drought, I have not irrigated it, and it is still surviving. No single plant has dried. So that means if we can support our research and come up with the seedlings that are resistant to wilt, that are resistant to drought, and that are also resistant to the red blisters, like KR8, 9, and 10 are resistant to red blisters. So if we can fund research and we fund the multiplication, then we would have helped support our farmers who are struggling with the many challenges in the coffee production. Next slide. We have been working with one of the primary schools to inculcate good skills of good agronomical practices, and between the school and the neighbor, the other one on the left is like a forest, and on the right, you can see what the school is doing. They are doing wonders. They have 1.5 acres, but so far they have picked almost 8,000 kilograms of red cherries of high quality, and the children just use like 30 minutes to go to the garden and pick, but as they run. And we think maybe we are building a generation that will appreciate agriculture and go back to agriculture when they finish their education, instead of maybe going for border riding. Next. We again appreciate what we have gone through with aBiD. They found us with about 1.5 UGX, but by working together with a committed implementing partner, we have been able to achieve a lot. We are in rented premises. We are outsourcing everything up to the weighing scale. Now we have our own weighing scales, we have our own warehouses, and we export coffee. And for the last 3 consecutive years, the MD of UCDS here can testify, we have won the Taste of Harvest. Our motto is that we value excellence, and we stand by it. Actually, in the recent exhibition in Milan, some category of people categorized our coffee as the best in the world, the final boosters. And that's the journey we want to keep, because it adds value to what the farmers are doing. Next slide. Now we want to go green. From experience, we have a big challenge in our area. When it is time for coffee season, umeme is on and off. So in most cases, we rely on using a generator. And when you use a generator, this is what happens. On average, we use about 197 kilowatts per hour per day. That is equivalent to about 525 liters of diesel. And each liter roughly generates about 2.6 kilograms of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So that works to a big figure of carbon that we generate in the atmosphere. We have now like 4 plants, 5 actually, the main plant plus other 4. It means now we'll be generating a lot of carbon in the atmosphere if we can keep using the generators. Secondly, they are very expensive. Diesel is expensive, and that it will reduce the benefits that would have gone to the farmer. So if ACPC can go green, then we will save a lot, we will save the environment, but also would add value to what the farmer is doing. Next. We have also been trying to see how do we preserve the runoff water. It rains, so the water runs into the valleys and it disappears. We have worked with a few farmers to trap water, and like this farmer has a nursery bed. He's able to trap water. He's in a dry area, and he's able to irrigate his coffee all through the dry season. But this kind of project is a bit expensive. We need to have a technology to standardize it so that on average, because the drought is going to keep coming, we have seen the average is going to 2 years, maybe it will go to 1 year. So we need to have a way of preserving the runoff water. For example, if a farmer, we can say, can trap about 20,000, which he can use during the dry season, then would have saved the livelihood of that family, would have protected agriculture in that area. Finally, I want to say thank you, aBiD, for standing with ACPCU. Thanks to the Danish Embassy and other funders to this project. Thanks to the staff of aBiD who have worked with us closely to make sure we keep on the path. And we have not betrayed you, and we shall keep working with you. You remember the young Oliver Twist once said, "I want more." We still want more in order to deliver to our farmers, because our vision is to transform the livelihoods of our farmers, and the journey has just started. Thank you, and may God bless you richly.
Please, sir, can I have some more? Round of applause for Mr. John Nwagaba, the General Manager of ACPCU. Thank you so much for breaking down so many interesting things, the challenges that you have and are facing now. Some of the solutions that you have come up with, some of the areas that you're experimenting with, and your understanding of going green. Because when we talk about climate change, we have to talk about going green. Now, the 7 value chains that the Green Challenge Fund is looking at are coffee, cereals, dairy, horticulture, poultry, pulses, and seed oils. But another area that is being looked into is agroforestry. And just listening to the presentation, I actually got chills. I don't know if I'm a dramatic human being, but to think that we have lost 1/3 of our forest cover in just 20 years, that is scary. And so many people do not understand the need for planting trees. They're like, but that is firewood. Can't you see all that? But the benefits, once we understand how important it is, especially when we focus on our local indigenous trees, are something that will be explained very easily. So it's exciting to keep having these conversations and, of course, to learn a whole lot more. I'd now like to invite our next speaker from Jaba Engineering Limited, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome the Managing Director, Dennis Ahimbisiwe.
ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dennis Ahimbisibwe, and I'm the Managing Director of Jaba Engineering Limited. At Jaba Engineering Limited, we look at, we have a division for soil testing, and we are looking at how to use soil nutrient testing as a tool for enhancing agricultural productivity. We have that portable mobile soil testing kit, which we have deployed, and we are using it to get the actual nutrients in the soil. Then we can track how the plants take them. Those are our milestones. We started our company in 2009. We started as a laboratory instrumentation company. Our motto, our vision is, when you can't measure it, it means you don't know it. So we started with supplying lab equipment, mainly in water testing, water quality testing, before getting into soil nutrient testing. In 2012, we went into partnership with Parintest Limited. This is a UK-based company, the manufacturer of our technology that we use, and they manufacture water, soil, and environment testing equipment. So initially, water quality testing was it's something that is well understood by government, by National Water, by Ministry of Water, and NGOs for the WASH programs. So that is what we are mainly dealing in. But in 2015, we realized we tried to promote soil testing to the universities, to the districts, to Ministry of Agriculture, but it was not something that was well understood. So as a private company, we opened up our first lab in 2015 here in Kampala. And of course, we are all passionate about agriculture. I myself am a farmer. We do coffee, we do bananas and dairy. But people are promoting fertilizers, and you are like, which type? What quantity? When do I apply it? Is what works in Imbarara the same as what will work in Mubende? So with this specific product, I actually imported the first one specifically for the farm, and we started our lab in 2015. In 2016 that's when we first got in contact with aBiD Trust then. And in 2017, we got our first support from aBiD, in which we were able to do expansion into other areas, as we'll see. In 2019, we participated in a World Bank sponsored challenge. It was called a Disruptive Agriculture Technology Challenge. It was held in Munyonyo, where we emerged winner in agricultural productivity solutions. And as a result of that, we were able to enter into, we were able to be contracted by MAIF, the SCDP project, where we did a lot of work. Shortly before that, in 2010, because we wanted our results to be recognized, we got ISO 9001 certification. And at the beginning of this year, we actually made a presentation to, there's a World Bank, the Korean Green Growth Trust facility. It is an army of the World Bank, and we made a presentation there to show our results, how they were impactful to the communities. Sorry. So those are our competencies. Our technology, the technology we are using validated methods, same as the wet chemistry, but using tablets. It can be used in the field. It is portable. It gives digital results. It does not give the visual color charts. And the technology has been developed over time by Parintest. Currently, we have 5 soil testing labs in Mbale, in Kampala here, in Bushenyi, in Kasese, and we've just onboarded another project still funded by aBi to start laboratories in Mubende, in Gulu, and then Iganga. They are located in those areas, but we serve a number of districts in those areas. We have increased our financial capacity in terms of assets and our ability to serve the farmers. And as I'll show you, we've been able to attract now more business as a result of these labs. We have trained staff, many of whom are still with us, but some have moved on. They are now being employed by NARO, they are being employed by other researchers and other NGOs. We are ISO 9001 certified. Our systems, our processes are clear. And then we have also been able to develop a promoter system around the country in more than 57 districts, where we have trained people who actually pick the samples, because soil sampling is something that is technical. So we have trained people who are actually able to pick the samples and then take the results to interpret them to the farmers, because it is not something, a soil report is not something that can be easily read by a farmer. We have also developed a soil nutrient results app, a system based on DHIS2, which, so all the samples, all the tests we do are geo-mapped, are geo-tagged. Every sample has a specific GPS location. So from this, we are able to aggregate this data, and then we have this data available to do like nutrient distribution geomaps, and maybe for research purposes. We have experience of working with the aBi grants, ACDP World Bank project, which has just ended, and then our partnership with our suppliers, whom we have maintained for over 10 years now. Our products and services are mainly divided into those three categories. We have soil fertility management solutions that include soil testing services. The soil testing services, we pick the sample, we test for both the macro and the micronutrients, and then we generate the fertilization plans using it's called a smart fertilizer software. It is developed by Israeli company. We pay a license, we give them information, and then they are able to calibrate the fertilization plans. Then, now the fertilization plan will be able to tell you, depending on the test results you have got, it will tell you how much, first of all, what type of nutrients do you need to improve your soil, how much do you need, what quantity are you going to apply, then as well as when are you going to apply it, because most of the recommendations are for coffee, you apply so many kilograms. But we do split in the fertilization plans. We tell you, apply this one at planting, apply this one at vegetative stage, apply this one at flowering, apply this one at fruit formation, so that you are not wasting, because when you put all the fertilizers at once, not all of it is going to be used. We also do what we call garden profiling, where we are able to, for example, for like a coffee, in our coffee demos, we do the acreage to know how much acres do you have, how many acres do you have, how many plants do you have, what stage of growth, how many years are they. Then you are able to give a farmer an estimated target yield, so that when somebody is growing, he knows I'm expecting maybe 1,500 kilograms of processed coffee. So that if he achieves 1,000, then he knows he has some more room of improvement. It has, the garden profiling has helped us to be able to explain to the farmers, if it is a maize garden, if you're getting 800 and your potential is 2,000, then you know you have room for improvement. Instead of opening up more ground, a larger area for you to get to 2,000, you actually do intensification on that specific area you're growing. We also do training. We have done training and advisory for the farmer groups where we are working with. And we have actually also been able to get engaged by other the cooperative societies to do training for them, especially in soil fertility management solutions. We also supply these the soil testing kits. We have both visual and then the digital soil testing kits. We've been able to supply to different companies that are interested in soil fertility solutions. Our other divisions, they do supply water quality testing kits, mainly for drinking and processed water, but as well as irrigation. When you're doing irrigation, you actually have to test the quality of your water, because you'll find some of your water, you do irrigation, but then maybe if it has too much salts, it's actually going to make your soil more saline. We do water testing as well for aquaculture, for fish. Fish is very sensitive to water. One of the major limiting factors for fish growing is actually water. If you have nitrates, if you have ammonia, you are in problems. As well as we also do water testing kits for wastewater. We also supply general testing lab equipment for industrial research and instrumentation labs. So how does soil what is the linkage between the soil, the plants, and the water? Because climate smart agriculture or green farming is actually about the interaction of all these: the soil, the plant, the water, and maybe because this is where the greenhouse gases actually come from. They are not coming from the atmosphere coming down. They are coming between the plants, our soil, and then the water. So the soil has three properties: the physical, then the chemical, and the biological. So the microbiome, the biomass, the living organisms in the soil are actually the ones that are interacting with the soil, maybe as they move or as they eat the organic matter to produce the nutrients that are actually used by the plants to grow. So we must make sure that as we are working on our soil, we keep an eye on all the three components. The organic matter on this side, the microbiological organisms in the soil, as well as the plants. Because the carbon dioxide and the other gases that are being released are coming from that interaction. So, for example, when we look at on the fertilizers side, we are introducing fertilizers in the soil. And usually when you talk about fertilizers, most people will think of the inorganic ones, the chemical ones. But we also have the organic ones. Now, both of them have advantages and disadvantages. But the fertilizers we introduce in the soil, not all of it is actually taken by the plants. Some of it will affect the microbiological organisms in the soil. And these organisms are the ones that are converting the mulch and the organic matter into nutrients in the soil. So we do soil tests so that we know how much nutrients are in the soil. If the soil has enough nutrients, then you don't have to apply a lot of fertilizers. So it means you are reducing the fertilizers that you're introducing in the soil that are going to affect your biomass. And then if the nutrients are not enough, you only introduce just enough for the plants. And that's where we say, introduce just the quantity that you need, introduce it at the time when it is needed, don't introduce all of it at a go, and then you also monitor. After you have done the fertilization, are you able to test the next season to see the effects that your fertilizers had on the last season? For the people who, when you're doing the mulching, the crop residues, if actually the organic matter, the amount of available organic matter in the soil it will affect the physical properties of the soil. And in these physical properties, that's where you find if the organic matter is enough in the soil, then it is able to hold a lot of water. It means when it rains, you'll not get a lot of flooding because a lot of the soil can hold much more water than it otherwise would. It is very easy to see us, people in the lowlands, you see when it rains in the highlands, you get floods. But this is because the soils in the highlands are not actually retaining enough water, so that if the soil has been compacted, the water retention capacity is very low. It rains once, the people in the lowlands, they suffer from floods. But actually, all this water that you see coming down could actually have stayed in the highlands if the soil had good particles. And we are able to do all this if we're able to test and know the properties of this soil. I just bring that the Africa fertilizer map. This one it was developed by Africa. It is the Africa fertilizer map for 2019. It gives how many nutrients are being used by the different companies. I mean the different countries. When you look on the bottom left, bottom right corner, Uganda actually has the lowest fertilizer use compared to Ethiopia, Kenya, and Tanzania. It means that because you are not using enough nutrients, we are relying on the rainfall and the other things. So when there is a slight change, we are going to be affected most by climate smart. These are some of the achievements. We had 2 labs supported by aBiD in the first project of 2017-2019. In the project which we have just finished by SCDP and MAIF, we were able to do soil testing in 57 districts and 722 sub-counties. From each sub-county, we are picking 10 farmers and 2 samples. So we're able to do 7,200 farmers in 57 districts in the value chains of coffee, beans, rice, cassava, and maize. We developed a soil nutrient app which has been linked to the National Food and Agricultural Statistics System, so that all the tests that we did, the information is actually on the database. We have started a new project which is going to be in those 3 labs in Gulu, Iganga, Chenjejo, and we'll enhance the Kampala lab to not only now do soil testing, but to also be able to do fertilizer and tissue analysis. In fertilizer analysis, you are able to differentiate the different types of fertilizers. Somebody is claiming he has 25% of nitrogen, but is it actually 25? Then in tissue analysis, you have applied nutrients into the soil, but has it actually been taken up by the plant? So you're able to actually test the plant and see what nutrients are being taken up. In our areas, our focus areas, we focus on profitability of the farmer, mainly by reducing the costs of inputs, so that people are not buying inputs that they do not need. You only buy only what you need. And then also on improving yields. If you are not applying, you get to know that you actually need to apply something and improve your yields. We also look at increasing employment, because when people get bad yields, they get discouraged. They say farming is not actually worthwhile. For the farmers, especially when you look at the farmers who are doing well, when you get a good harvest, you are tempted to increase, to apply more the next season. the farmers who first did, especially like in horticulture, the people who started by doing basic tests of NPK, they are now actually doing comprehensive tests of other micronutrients. Then this is our way forward. We have, by 2020, we've been able to have complete soil fertility status information. We have a database where all our tests are put. But by 2025, we are looking at integrating all the climate smart productivity solutions. So we have inorganic, organic, fertilizer testing, tissue testing, all of those services together. And then by 2030, we need to look at precision agriculture, where you're only putting exactly what you need and producing for the export markets that are so sensitive to the pesticide residues and those other things. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Dennis Ahimbisibwe, the Managing Director of Java Engineering Limited. I have to say that was very interesting, talking about precise agriculture and smart farming processes. It is a science at the end of the day. You really establish that it's a science. And the need for measurable data is so important in terms of, you mentioned timing, you mentioned quality, you mentioned monitoring. And a lot of people do get discouraged if they do not have the right direction. And you can't make the right decisions without the right information. So thank you so much for sharing that. That was very interesting, especially about the water testing. That I learned today. That was new. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all for your attention. We are hearing from our implementing partners right now, from their experiences, their testimonials, and I would like to kindly ask our next speakers to keep within the time allocated, the 15 minutes allocated, so that we can stay on track with our program. So please allow me to welcome our next speaker. That is the Director of Programs from Heifer International, John Senyonga. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Crystal. Allow me say thank you very much, aBiD, for giving us this opportunity to participate in this initiative, but most importantly, for us to share our experience and learnings, especially on green growth. First of all, as Heifer International, we are a development organization, and we've been in Uganda since 1982. We work mainly with smallholder farmers. Our work is premised on value chain development. We also specifically focus on women and youth. And of recent, we added a theme on technology and environment. But this also comes from our mission, which is ending hunger and poverty while caring for the earth. Globally, we've set a mission from 2020 to 2030 to reach out to 1 million smallholder farmers across the world. And in Uganda, we are focusing on 400,000 families. And this is basically focusing on supporting them to attain what we call a living income. And that's a sustainable living income. Definitely we cannot do this without considering the care for the earth. Now, talking about technology and environment, we've looked at this as an enabler. And last year, we launched an initiative which we are calling Power, Water, and Internet Stroke Infrastructure. So with this initiative, we are integrating in all our programs aspects related to power. Of course, that is renewable energy or efficient power sources, water, and also infrastructure or internet. This initiative is mainly driven by the young people that we work with. Now, our long-term framework is looking at achieving scale. We are very much interested in looking at numbers. The 400,000 I've mentioned is a very ambitious number, but we are very confident that we shall be able to get there, especially leveraging on this technology. The other part of our framework is looking at partnerships, basically with private sector, government, and we have a partnership, for example, with aBiD, ensuring that we can be able to leverage resources, tap into the expertise from the different partners so that we are able to get the numbers we are looking for. The other aspect is deepening our impact, considering, for example, how sustainable the businesses we are creating, how meaningful are the jobs, how can we have a going concern beyond the interventions that we are making. So in 2020, we started a partnership with aBiD, especially on the dairy in central Uganda. We are running a project called Accelerating Dairy Production and Productivity. Of course, the interest is for us to increase the incomes of both the farmers, the cooperatives or the agri-enterprises, but also the processor. And the key outcomes we are focusing on is, first of all, increasing production and productivity, but more specifically productivity, building an extension service delivery mechanism, increasing the utilization capacity of the processor, and we are mainly working with JESA in this region. I know that previously we've done dairy work almost across the country. We've been in Southwestern, we've set up farmer cooperatives there. We've also been in the Eastern, and with this initiative we are running with aBiD, we've already started plugging in some of the initiatives that I'm going to share regarding power, water, and internet or stroke infrastructure. One of the things that we are doing, considering the aspects of adaptation, mitigation, but also building resilience, is to ensure that we move farmers from considering increasing production, but to deepen productivity. In other words, we mostly notice that most farmers would be focusing on expanding their acreage, expanding their stock of animals, instead of concentrating to increase productivity so that they save space for the land that is available. So one way of doing that, we started with what we call the 12 dairy farm model. So in other words, we are telling farmers, instead of having 300, both dairy and beef grazing together everywhere, look at the 12 minimum cows that have potential to give you the maximum. Do paddocking, put them in a separate arrangement where you can be able to feed them to the maximum. That means you'll be able to conserve your feed and fodder. You'll be able to provide them with water. And that means you'll be able to maximize on productivity. And I'll be showing you how far that has worked. So we've invested a lot, basically in training, but also doing some mechanization, which I'll be showing you, so that we are able to support them to conserve. Right now, what we are doing is to ensure that we've set a target that each of these farmers should be able to have an average of 40 tons of pasture or silage per season. And we've calculated that that should be enough to take them through 1 or 2 months of the dry spell. Now, considering that alone, we've done some numbers. I've picked examples of 2 farmers. One of them is a young farmer called Isaac Kiza in Kayunga. So this young man has 21 milking cows. So we've tried to monitor his progress, especially during wet and dry. I took numbers from December. As you can notice, before he started engaging with the silage and the pasture conservation, that was the trend. If if you look at the brown line, and when he started doing the silage production, especially early this year, you can see how far he has gone. He was having an average of 2 liters per cow per day, and now he's doing 6 liters. He has not changed the breed, but only focusing on water and feeds. And that's the progress we are seeing. We have another farmer called Muvunyi Patrick, who was doing an average of 50 liters, and now he's around 150, 160. And this is consistent, as you can actually notice that even during the dry season, he's getting more than what he used to get during the wet season before he used silage. So that is the progress. And actually, we've used such kind of farmers to demonstrate to the other farmers. And I'll be showing you how far this uptake and adaptation has been, especially with the other farmers. So, of course, that means that we are looking at deepening productivity, as I said, vis-a-vis production. We've also had some initiatives we've done before, especially around biogas, and we've done some quite extensive work, especially in Uganda. From 2012 to date, we ran a Uganda biogas project where we were able to establish about 5,660 biogas facilities across the country. We've also trained quite a number of young people who are into biogas construction. And actually out of that, with that project, we were able to give birth to an enterprise called Biogas Solutions, which is now a commercial entity that is doing biogas in Uganda. And we are still partnering with them in that initiative. Now, of course, there are other aspects we are looking at under our PWI initiative, that is water for production and home use. One thing that I want to appreciate is that because of the work we've done with the aBiD project, especially enabling farmers appreciate the effects of climate change, all these initiatives we are doing are either between 30 to 50% co-financed by the farmers themselves. If we are setting up a water initiative, the farmers contribute in cash. They give us that money, we co-finance it with the funding we have from the project, and we are good to go. And all the things we are doing, be it in mechanization, they are co-financed. The other thing we are doing is that, especially on mechanization, all those equipments and those social enterprises are also being run by the young people, so that we are able to create employment opportunities. We are working on water for production, but we have a new initiative that will be starting off next month, where we are going to be setting up community commercial water points, because we know that clean water is extremely important also for these communities. So we are working with the cooperatives to establish commercial water points so that they are able to use that water, first of all, at the cooperative, because clean water has an influence on the quality of milk, but also they are able to sell it at an affordable cost to their members and also the communities. So we'll be establishing those water points. The other thing, of course, with our PWI, we are working with some commercial service providers to extend micro irrigation pumps. We are working with Kickstart on that. We are also working with Daylight Solar to extend solar systems to the smallholder farmers. And these initiatives are actually layered on the cooperative. And what we do, we've set up some revolving fund for most of the cooperative, because they run circles. So they have these as part of their loan portfolios. And the farmers, of course, can be able to access them, and they pay using a check-off system. So the issue here is making sure that they are closer to the farmers, not because the farmers don't know that these systems exist, but because they are far from them, they don't know where to get it and how to pay for it up front. That's why we've done this kind of initiative at the cooperative level. So this is what, for example, that's what we were doing a few weeks ago in northern Uganda, because we have also some cooperatives there. So what we do is that we ask the cooperatives to aggregate demand for these products, and then they source them from the commercial service providers, and then the farmers are able to take them using the check-off system. The other thing I want to mention is about mechanization. That is still plugged into especially the initiative we have with aBiD, but also with our oilseed cooperatives in northern Uganda. So what we've done is that because we understand that each farmer may not afford, for example, to buy a chopper, these choppers we are using are like 4 tons per hour capacity, and each farmer may not afford to do that. So what we do, we co-financed these with some of the young entrepreneurs within the community. We also worked with the service provider to make them mobile. Like it's like a cart, so you can just move it from one community to another. We've set up a platform using a social enterprise called Hello Tractor, because we are also doing that with the tractors, where a farmer is able to book using an agent in the community and is able to order for that equipment, and the young person just swings in, he works on your 40 tons in a day, and then you are done. So they keep moving from one farmer to the other so that everyone is able to do that. So that's what we are doing in terms of commercialization. But also with the Hello Tractor, what we are doing is that we have an online platform with Hello Tractor where farmers, especially the cooperatives and other entrepreneurs, you just need to book a minimum of 600 acres within your area. And that's a confirmation that there is demand for mechanization. So after you've booked, the online system with Hello Tractor will be able to select. Of course, it's whoever does it faster is able to access the tractor. We gave out last month 6 tractors. We are going to be giving out 15 more end of this month. So, and the moment you book, you access a tractor, and then you pay as you use. So when you plow, the farmers are able to pay using the online system, and then the system will be able to check off as you progress. So that's what we are doing basically with mechanization. And the other last bit is on the solar system. We are also working on solarization of the milk cooling systems. Right now we've started with 5 cooperatives. We are doing this in Dwaniro, we are doing it in Chiwaga Livestock. We are also doing hybrid system. We are going to do this in Nabitanga. And the idea here is to create efficiency. Apparently, last week we had a meeting with the cooperatives. 40 to 30% of their costs go into fuel. And they were telling us because of the rising prices right now, this has actually more than doubled. And that shows you how much is being lost in terms of their profit. But also the emissions, you can see that environment around that genset. So with this initiative, I'll give you a small example of the models we've done. We are using 2 models. A cooperative can pay for this system as a loan, or you can do a PPA, that is the power purchase arrangement. In other words, if you've been spending 500,000 per day on energy, the system and the model we are using can give you maybe 300,000, and you just pay it the way you pay for power. You don't need to invest 300 million in buying the whole system. We work with a commercial service provider, an EPC. He sets the system, and you just pay for the power. The system remains a property of the EPC. Once we have recouped the money we invested, then you own the system. So those are the models we are using, and here I can show you how much savings they can be making compared to the money they are spending right now with the gensets. With this, the loan, that's how much they can save from year 1 up to the 10th year. And with the power purchase arrangement, that's how much they can also save. Of course, each model has its own advantages and disadvantages. Lastly, I've already talked about that. So our learnings, of course, briefly have that we need to consider increasing productivity vis-a-vis increasing production, because the moment we increase the numbers, we increase on the size of land, that means we are putting more pressure on the environment. But also we've learned that the cooperative structure is a very, very important platform for us to leverage and to plug all these things I've mentioned. So it's extremely important that we look at how strong, how profitable the cooperatives are, so that they are able to scale up these initiatives. The other thing is that we are moving a bit faster on this because farmers have come to appreciate, they have gained them knowledge, they consider how this impacts on their businesses, but also the cooperatives themselves, and that means if we increase that knowledge and information, the uptake becomes a bit faster, and that's the learning we've had. Of course, working with the commercial service providers, we've seen the numbers growing for their sales, and then lastly, we've also seen, especially for solar, that for the off-grid systems, it makes more economic sense than when we go to the hybrid systems. I want to thank you very much. We are looking forward to scaling all these initiatives. Apparently, HEIFA is putting in some resources using our impact investment funds, but of course, our interest is to pilot, and we are looking at financial institutions, private sector actors, and definitely partners like aBiD, so that we are able to scale up these initiatives. I thank you very much, and I'm very confident that we are in this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Senyonga. Before you leave the stage, I just have one request for you. You jumped straight into your work, but there's a request. You did not tell us anything about yourself and where you're from. So just very briefly, if you could tell us a bit about yourself.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that. I'm John Senyonga. So I work with HEIFA International as a director of programs. I'm sure Krista had already introduced. I come from Midwestern Uganda in Chegega district. I'm an Amose farmer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Round of applause. What you said was very interesting. And also one of the things that I picked up was the power of community. So much can be done when community comes together. And it was very interesting to hear the breakdown on the green growth initiatives and interventions at the different levels. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite our next speaker now from Yugafood Microfinance Limited. Please give a warm welcome to the Chief Executive Officer, Shafi Nambobi.
Good morning, everybody. I'm called Shafi Nambobi, the CEO of Yugafood Microfinance Limited. Good to be here and also to be associated with the aBiD Finance Stock Development. Yugafood has been with the aBiD, so it has been seeing these changes in the name. We keep on getting those letters. But we are happy that the services also continue to get better as the name change. I'm here basically to represent Yugafood, but also other financial institutions that are not here because aBiD is not supporting only Yugafood, but several institutions. But due to the time, I think they are not able to be all here to give testimony. So without wasting time, I'll just quickly talk about Yugafood and then the support we have got and also the impact of Clean Technology Fund. Of course, aBiD has also been coming up with different challenge funds, and we're happy that it is going with change. And we're happy that today there's another challenge fund that is coming up. So aBiD is very innovative, not just relying on one thing over and over and over. So we're happy that it is continue to come up with innovative interventions that help us. Basically, Yugafood is basically started in 1994, and of course it has evolved. Just speaking through where we operated, you see most of our branches are in Western Uganda, and again, we found ourselves looking at who is the target market. So we have ended up increasing our portfolio in agricultural lending. So as you can see, we have about 58 billion shillings in portfolio, and 52% of that is in agriculture. And one time, Bank of Uganda visited us, and they were asking us, this risk is too much. Why are you going much into agricultural lending? But we responded to them that, one, look, this is our strategy, and we intend to grow this further. So I would like to inform you that we had a risk limit appetite. Initially it was about 30% agriculture. We increased it to 40%. Recently it was at 48%. Now we are in breach of that limit. We are at 52%. And this week we are proposing to the board that we can increase that limit. So again, speaking through that space, we went through the COVID pandemic, but I would like to inform you that that was the most resilient sector. We gave out moratoriums thanks to aBiD. Actually, aBiD was the only institution that gave financial institutions moratorium among all the lenders. So that was supportive. So we are happy to report that that has been paid. We have not written off loans in that space. So thank you very much, aBiD, for taking that risk of lending to us. In terms of the support, of course, when we are told to speak today, we are asking ourselves now, we speak about what? Because aBiD support is very big to us, but in this specific presentation, we shall rely more on the the clean energy technology. So when this came up, we said, how are we going to do it? First of all, our system only allows weekly and monthly loan repayments. When we started implementing, we found that some of our customers in groups were defaulting. And how were they defaulting? We had aligned their loans into weekly repayments and also monthly. Then we're asking ourselves, how can someone growing beans pay you weekly? So what we had to do is to look at our core banking system. We changed it, and then we tried to go do a survey, and then we managed to change our loan terms into quarterly, triannual, biannual, and also to allow bullet payments, and also give a grace period of up to 6 months. We are happy that this is working out for us. So as at end of June, our PAR 30 was at 5.48%, of which agriculture was 4.2%. So that again demonstrates the resilience in that sector. And then again, we said we don't have any staff that is skilled in agricultural lending qualifications. So what we had to do was to train our staff so that they can be able to serve the customers. So some of the key areas we are funding, of course, like valley dam, mulching, irrigation, manure. When the two Johns were speaking about climate, soil, actually we are becoming worried because any changes in the climate affects us. Any dry spell affects us because the repayments are affected. So these interventions are really very good, and we need to see how we can be able to work with the various partners to see how they can assist our customers. Of course, another key intervention for BI is again in relation to collateral. Our portfolio, about 90% of our portfolio is more of unregistered land and also chattels. These include even animals. So we're happy that the intervention of agricultural guarantee came in handy. And we know that we all want to serve women. But we very well know that in Uganda, it is hard to find a woman who has collateral, who has land. So how can we be able to serve this? So this is something that came in handy. The next slides are basically talking about what our customers say. Today I came with one of my regional managers who is deeply involved in this activity, Eden Bazira. Of course, it would be not fair for me to talk about customer testimonies when I'm not always in the field. But I have one of my staff members, Eden, who is just going to talk about what do our customers say about the services we're offering to them. So Eden, please come and speak through the customer testimonies.
Thank you very much, CEO, for the opportunity. Good morning, everyone. My name is Eden Bazira. I'm the regional manager in charge of Western Uganda, where we are good at green agribusiness and agriculture in general. I'll speak on behalf of agriculture customers whom we are serving, and there are over 5,000 customers holding a portfolio of over 27 billion shillings, and our customers are happy. We give appreciation to aBiD for the support that they have given us, that we are able to transfer the support to our customers. I'll briefly give testimonies of about 3 customers who have really benefited and are doing much in terms of climate conservation. Yes, one of our customers is called Idris Mugerwa. He's our customer of Chotera. When you visit him, the first thing he will tell you, he will say, I'm conserving the environment while making money. He has over 70 acres. He has over 70 acres of coffee. He has over 10 acres of passion fruits. He's in cattle fattening, and he started humbly with about 10 acres of land in 2010, but right now he has over 300 acres of land. In 2010, he had annual income of less than 5 million shillings, but right now he can say that he has annual incomes of over 300 million. He's appreciative to Ugaford, but also he's appreciative to aBiD. For him, he may not know aBiD, but as he extends the appreciation, for us, we also extend the appreciation to aBiD that has given us the support that we extend to him. Idris is doing much in terms of conserving the environment. If you visited him, you'd really be happy. He's in organic manure production from his cows. He will collect the cow dung that he will process and make manure that he will put in his banana plantation. But also, those projects you can see also need manure. But he's also able to sell that manure. I know just one, he would sell one small truck of organic manure at 300,000, and he's really making money. This customer, he's called Joseph Nseleko. He's our customer from Kasagama in the Antonde branch. Kasagama is about 300 kilometers from here. He also joined Ugaford in 2007. The photo you are seeing there, he's trying to put together the coffee husks from his coffee plantations. He has machines at his home that process coffee, and then he gets the coffee husks, which he sells to other farmers. But Joseph Nsoleko, for the last 15 years, he has been in Ugaford. He also was earning little, but right now he can say he's really a commercial farmer. He's into zero grazing. This second photo you can see, it is a machine that he uses to process silage. He has 40 cows, dairy cows, which he's rearing on a 10-acre of land. And of course, this zero grazing has helped him to also conserve the environment. You know, with open grazing, the cows put the burden on the land. And because for him he's doing that zero grazing, he's really able to reduce operational costs, but also reduce the burden on the land, and also increase his yields. But I'll lastly give another customer of ours. He's called Joseph Sechibengo. He's from PG branch. For him, he's in agroforestry. And he has really done a lot in terms of conserving the environment, but while making money. He now has 200 acres of land, of tree plantations. He's in eucalyptus trees. If you drive along Mpiji there, you'll see a good environment of trees. Or if you pass through this Mitiana Road, you'll see a good environment of trees. Some of those are our customers, and they have done a lot in terms of conserving the environment. If you visited our Ankole area before, we used to have a challenge with water for cows. But right now, because of the partnership we have with our customers, they have constructed water dams, and it's no longer a challenge in terms of getting water for the cows. Even in the dry season, you'll find them with water. They are no longer the old pastoralists who would move here and there in search for water, because Ugaford is there and aBiD is there. They are now stationed in one place. I really thank you for the opportunity, and we thank aBiD for the support given to us and to our customers. Thank you.
Yeah, Thank you very much, Eden, for the sharing what is in the field. And of course, in the future, it would be good if we can be able to have the customers themselves, so that we don't speak for them. I would like to end here. Once again, thank you very much, aBiD board and management, for all the support. And now turning to the challenge fund that has been introduced, I would like to encourage all of us to apply, because from the experience we have with aBiD, aBiD is not discriminatory. They are very transparent, and they would like to see that everyone benefits from the fund. And I was happy to hear Mona mention that this fund is as low as 5 million shillings. So that means that if it is 7.5 billion, we are looking at the fund benefiting more rather than benefiting just a few institutions. So thanks so much for introducing this new fund. And again, on behalf of UGAFORD board and management, we thank you so much. And our 5-year strategic plan, that is 2021-2025, is hinged to agriculture. And again, Master of Ceremony, thank you very much for pushing John to introduce himself, because when he mentioned where he's coming from, Chegegwa, it is a new location that UGAFORD is setting up a sales center. So I think now I'm going to start by introducing myself more to him, so that he can welcome me to Chegegwa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, please do chat. Very productive conversations, I'm sure, from today. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Shafi Nambobi, the Chief Executive Officer for UGAFORD Microfinance Limited. I hope we are all doing well. How are we? At the back of the room, are we good? And to everyone joining us online, I trust that you are good as well. Thank you so much. I'll get that response later, I'm sure. Ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to hear from our keynote speaker today. He is a Senegalese national with 18 years of professional experience in the development sector. He is currently the Regional Director for Africa and Head of Programs at the Global Green Growth Institute. He was previously the Country Director for Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire. He holds a Master's in Management, MBA in International Development, and a PhD in Environmental Organization and Methods Applied. And I just want to add that he was recognized. Ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready for our keynote address, I'd like to thank you for your patience. And please get to know each other, get to know the person next to you. There is so much that we can learn from each other.
landfill filling up and climate and sustainable issues have become very real in Africa, as well as in Uganda. At the same time, solutions to these problems lies right in front of us. DJI helps its member countries on their national determined contribution under the Paris Agreement, as well as their commitment under the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. In sub-Saharan Africa, there is an estimate of 106 billion demand for financing by 200,000 agri-SMEs. However, we estimate that only 55% of 55 billion, which is about 35%, is currently being met through formal finance channels, leaving an annual financing gap of more than 100 billion per year. It's worth diving deeper into the impact of the climate change. While global agri-food systems are responsible for at least 30% of the global greenhouse emissions, agri-SMEs in developing countries contribute very little to this total. For instance, when to go deeper, sub-Saharan Africa contributes only 10% of the global agri-food system emissions. Yet, despite this low level of contribution to the climate change, agri-SMEs also are impacted by climate change related risks and shocks, and I can go more in details on that. Increasing the extreme of weather in events like floods, droughts, which have doubled from an average of 300 events per year in 1980 to 600 events per year as we speak. Declining productivity in the sector without measure to help smallholder farmers and agri-SMEs adapt to climate change. Worst case scenario models estimate that global agricultural productivity may decrease by 15%, by 17% to 2050, and by as much as 50% in Africa, quite large. Emergence of new pests and diseases, for example, increase of temperature across can lead to the loss of jobs and billions of revenues. And we will add on that the volatile supply and price, declining yield, demographic pressure, an increase of occurs in extreme weather event, food supply and prices of crops under pressure. For example, when we go into the details of the price of crops, we can say that the result of additional price increase of 32% to 37% for rice, 52% to 55% for maize, 94% to 120% for wheat, and 11% to 14% for soybean by 2050. Ladies and gentlemen, we really facing this risk, and agriculture SMEs need support in adapting their business models and operational to adapt to changing market and production environment. Agri-SMEs are fundamental to changing the way agri-food value chains works in mitigating the production and GSD emission. Introducing products and services that help farmers to adapt to climate change and investing in nature-based solutions that prompt sustainable growth. In order to support these, climate-based policy, climate-based finance is quite important and require deeper understanding of agri-SMEs analysis as well. We can go more in deeper on that particular things. But what I will say globally, when we look at that sector, only 1.5% of the global climate finance, which is about 10 billion, is channeled to the small scale agriculture. And when we look more in deeper on that, only 7% goes to value chain actors. And the vast majority of that funding, which is about 95%, come from public capital provider. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot pursue my keynote point without raising a personal point that's quite important as well, which linked to women and youth. Women are likely a key pillar of the continent's food and agriculture system, comprising 50% of agricultural workforce and owning 1/3 of the SME that produce, process, and trade in agriculture and services. We know on the different report that the continent has the highest percentage of women entrepreneur. In the world with 1 in 4 women starting and managing business, the agribusiness industry is often natural focus on this agri-entrepreneurial drive. Africa, I will not, let's say, share something that's not new for you, is the youngest and fastest growing continent in the world. By 2030, the number of young people in Africa labor force will increase to 375 million. And the population growth of the continent mean by 2035 will be the more young African entering the workforce each year than the rest of the world, which is quite challenging for some people, but I see opportunity, and I'm sure the people in the audience see also opportunity on the youth sector as well. So women and youth are quite important for this transition. Ladies and gentlemen, I will strongly believe that the agri-SMEs can bring triple climate responses, which is really valuable for the way that we go for green growth. One that will be on the mitigation by limiting the emission of greengrass emissions with zero emission farms equipment. GST focus genetic selection or breeding, or improving fertilizer practices as well. Most importantly, when we come in Africa, is the adaptation side by pushing more on climate smart irrigation, such as solar power or micro irrigation system, soil and water management, agroforestry and aquaculture that I hear a lot from the couple of partners, and also looking for alternative wetting and drying system that go for that. Lastly, which is linked to a nature-based solution, by investing in the protection and restoration of the ecosystem, soils and health improvement, crops management, organic fertilizer, or carbon sequestration. So agri-SMEs are playing a critical role on also supporting that green growth transition, and financing that sector is really critical. Ladies and gentlemen, we need a dedicated innovative solution. And I can say today that the good news is that the Green Challenge Fund is the right solution. GGI is firmly committed in supporting the green growth transition with its member country. And I'm therefore honored to have the opportunity to be here today. And I reiterate my sincere thanks to the governments of Uganda, ABA, Denmark, and EU, and ensure that the GGI will play its part in the successful transition to a green economy. ABI's vision is to foster a competitive, profitable, and sustainable agriculture and agribusiness sector in the support of equitable wealth creation in Uganda. This is very strongly linked and contribute to the Ugandan's Vision 2040, the National Development Plan, as well as Uganda's climate actions as is simulated under the NDC, the updated one. We can say that over the past 10 years, from my own calculation, ABI has disbursed over $200 million in line of credit across board, from some of the largest banks to the small finance institution in Uganda. These areas of client for ABI ensure inclusion of some of the most marginalized agribusiness value chain actors. Against this background, I would say that ABI has a very ambitious plan of achievement, a disbursement of 550 million by 2050. Majority of which will be green finance. And also actively pursuing the mainstreaming of green growth in the project that is supported by GGI, and happy to be part of this working, and also that changing that we're pushing forward. Gender equality, social inclusion, as well as green jobs are all the social impact that ABI is pursuing, and GGI has extensive experience from over 40 countries, and we'll be happy to work with to achieve this objective that are quite important for Uganda as well in the sector. ABI has a strong on board investors and shareholders, including the government of Denmark, the EU, who are also working with GGI as a member, that's Denmark, and funder of several projects like EU. This shows the trust of ABI track records. The new additional investment, including the Green Challenge Fund, show even more confident in ABI's planned growth direction, and we are glad to be linked to working with GGI member country and funded to support growth on the green financing in Uganda. I can add also aBi is taking the lead towards focusing on green investment. Is a challenge and example to other financial institutions in Uganda to understand the risk of climate change of financial institution. And we know that the risk of failure to take action on climate change as the key risk faced by businesses, finance and society over the next 10 years. Climate action failure is the #1 risk by impact and the #2 risk by livelihood. Ladies and gentlemen, climate change presents a sustainable risk for financial institutions and the investment. And why supporting aBi to take the lead toward the green finance? We're glad to support also other institutions to take up the greener approach to the finance. I will finish my keynote point by saying that we're just starting the journey today by writing the new chapter when it comes to supporting the agri-SMEs with aBi. And I strongly believe that the story will be really in the next 4, 5 years or 3 years on what was the achievement and impact that aBi bring, not only in Uganda, but also at the continental level. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for your attention. I will encourage also all the partners and the different candidates to apply to this challenge fund, and welcome again to this family for the Green Growth Foundation. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we just heard from our keynote speaker, Dr. Male Fontana. And we are here today because aBi has taken on this initiative, and we are here for the Green Challenge Fund. There's so much that we have learned today, I have to say. But I'd just like to, just remind you again that it is a 7.5 billion shilling fund, and there are 3 core categories. Just again, ideation, which can be backed by about between 5 to 30 million shillings. There's piloting, 50 to 200 million, and of course growth, which is up to 500 million shillings. So again, to find out more information, please go to the website. That's www.iba.co.ug. And just a reminder, to catch up on today's conversation, we are on Twitter using the hashtag, that's aBi Green Fund. And you can also follow the proceedings and watch it again. Share the link with other people on YouTube. It has been live on YouTube. It is live at this very point in time. So that is by going to aBi Finance on YouTube. And of course, please do subscribe as well for more updates as we go on. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to invite back the board chair of aBi to join me, Mr. Felix Okoboy, as well as the CEO of aBi Finance, and the acting CEO of aBi Development as well, to officially launch the Green Challenge Fund. Thank you. I'd also like to invite Mr. Grace Kavuma to join us and other board members present here with us. Thank you for this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we are here for. Exciting times indeed. I'm going to ask that we do this together. So can we count down together? Starting from 5? I didn't hear a yes. Did we have coffee, tea? Okay, aha. We're going to do this together. Yes, yes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there you have it. The aBi Green Challenge Fund has officially been launched today here in Uganda at the Kampala Serena Hotel. This is exciting. There is so much to learn from each other. And again, a reminder, things that have been shared, we want ideas, we want innovation, we want creativity, and we must work together. Thank you. Round of applause, please.
Just a quick one. I might add, as we were sat there, we thought that we thought there was need to clarify that indeed the interest is overwhelming, and we are welcoming it very much. And we just thought to emphasize that there's more where this came from. So do not be limited by what seems like a cap. This is the initial investment. Should there be need to expand and top up and increase the size of this fund, we're certainly ready to do it and will do it. So please go big, go bold with your ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. And a reminder to go to the website for all the information you need. That is www.abi.co.ug. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. We are now going to take a break, just in case the coffee from the morning has started to wear off, please. We would like you to enjoy a tea break. I am Crystal Newman, still here with you. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. And the Green Challenge Fund is officially launched.
implications of the effects of climate change for everyone, for the country, for farmers, and then discussing them at a forum like this, not just did the investment that aBiD made or supported work, but what are the implications? And let all of us learn and become more knowledgeable about these issues that sound sometimes very exotic, but it is the primary issue of today, especially for a country like ours that deals a lot with agribusinesses, agricultural practices. That's why there's a lot of focus on it from the government side, from development partners, from institutions like aBiD. Everyone is working towards mitigating or trying to work with living with those effects of climate change. So we also want to be the organization that promotes awareness of this issue. So the Challenge Fund is, yes, it's an investment fund to a large degree, but to a large degree also, it is a vehicle that utilized well can also promote awareness of these issues in the country, and we would want to be at the forefront of that.
Felix, as I move the microphone to another press member, the media would be very interested to know, given the fact that you're championing, aBiD is trying to champion, and as far as this cause is concerned, we know it's costly. It's a costly endeavor. So they would like to know what strategies, where you sit at a very strategic level, and also the fact that you sit in many boards, you're a champion, an industry champion. From where you sit, what kind of, where do you see aBiD in as far as strategies are concerned in continuing to fund this all the way, but also at the macro level, where do you see opportunities, especially in the areas of fund mobilization towards this?
Thank you. So at the very high level, and of course in any organization, the highest level is the shareholder level, so the owners level. aBiD's owners are very committed, as I mentioned and Mona mentioned in that speech, are very committed to funding the promotion of greening investments and greening the practices. And I guess, so the appetite at the shareholder level, so the owners of the funds, the appetite is very high. The aBiD's support, financial support and ownership, equity investments come from the Royal Danish Embassy, which represents the Danish government. aBiD was actually started by the government of Denmark and the government of Uganda 12 years ago. Our support also comes from the European Union and the International Fund for Developing Countries. So that's the Development Finance Institution for Denmark. So this, of course, would not be possible if the owners of the company were not committed to this. So they are as committed to it, even more committed to it than other stakeholders. So for this to work and for this to be possible and for us to get to this day, the key stakeholders, which would be the shareholders, of course the government of Uganda, the management team and the board would have to all be pulling at the same string. So the answer to that's a long-winded way of saying everyone is committed to it. Now the question is how do the stakeholders, so our shareholders, the board and management, how do we champion, when you start something like this, or when you champion it, there are risks involved. So you're going to, Mona mentioned this in her speech, you're going to fund some ideas that don't work or don't work as well as some other ideas. And you have to be, and you're dealing, in our case now, so we're dealing with, as usual, shareholders' money. So the shareholders have to be willing to take that risk, which they are. Otherwise, this, of course, would not be possible. Because some things won't work. And so there's appetite to, because it's such a huge topic and because it's so important to everyone, everyone thinks erroneously that climate change is something that affects developed countries more. Actually, it affects developing countries more than it affects developed countries. So we have to look out for how we address this issue here for us, for our farmers, for our agribusinesses in Uganda. And the appetite to take that risk is high. To take that risk to address this issue, because it's the biggest issue of our time.
Yeah.
There's no bigger issue than that. So I would say across the board, from the shareholders, through the board, through the management team and staff, we're all committed to bringing awareness and taking a risk on trying to address this issue. We will not be able to do it alone. So what we're hoping is that we would start with this fund, as she has told you, the 7.5 billion fund. The appetite to increase that amount at the board level and at the shareholder level is there. So this is, I don't want to call it a pilot because in itself it will be doing a lot. But then we're also keen on bringing on board other actors who would bring not just money, but also expertise to tell us, okay, so how exactly has this worked in other countries? What has not worked in other countries? What would work better for Uganda? And that discussion just needs to continue and be had continuously and not die. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Edwin Mohomza, Capital Radio. My concern is a request for clarity. You earlier mentioned about the categories. I could see you talked of 5 million to 30 million, and then 50 to 100 million.
200?
To 200, and then there was one of 500 million. So please clarify on those categories. Then secondly, you also mentioned that you see growth in demand for the fund. Which category is mainly demanding for this fund? Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point, I'll start with the second question. We have only launched the fund today and we'll be receiving 4 more applications. Then we'll be able to synthesize which specific categories. But the demand that we're seeing is largely from the interest in this event, the interest and the
looking at boosting it up, you know, and here we are looking at 1.5 billion shillings and a project size of 50 to 200 million. All this is repeated information, of course. We have spoken to this, and then the third idea is the ideation stage. You know, the real like primary, you know, idea that has been, you've been thinking about it, not done so much on it, and you think you can put it on the ground, test it, and see whether you can build it further to benefit the agribusiness. So that's the very, you know, low-scale category, and we are looking at projects of that size, 5 to 30 million shillings, to build up our ideas, move to the next level of the pilot, and maybe, whether possible, do the mature stage. And through all these stages, we shall be taking notes. We shall be studying. This is the studying phase, the pilot phase. So whatever works out is what we shall be scaling up, and, you know, other ideas that really are contributing to the agribusiness sector. In terms of eligibility, and here we are talking about the technical aspect. Really what we are looking at is the innovation. And we've been talking about, you know, the opening up of most of the formerly restrictive considerations, but now we are only looking at that idea. And that idea, we spoke about the 3 areas. That idea must address one or more of the 3 categories that we are focusing on: adaptation, mitigation, and biodiversity conservation. So your project must be addressing one or more of those. And then the other aspect is the economic viability. We are in agribusiness, so whatever we are doing, while of course we know most of the conservation interventions may not bring economic benefits in the short term, we are looking at the potential in that case. But where possible, you know, quick gains that we can get from that innovation. So as you are building up your idea, make sure it speaks to that economic bit of it. And then the other key area, we are looking at the capacity to scale up. When you are developing your proposals, be sure to highlight those areas that you think can help scale up. It can be a good innovation, but if it is designed to benefit maybe one or two or a few actors in the sector, then that may not be to recognize and award those who will have submitted the winning proposals. Then we anticipate the implementation period to run through November up to March, as I earlier indicated. So as I noted, this is a short kind of period fund, and we want to, as much as possible, stick to this time frame and have the best of this Green Challenge Fund that we are looking at. So thank you. For more information, of course, as I said, just consult this small booklet, but also more information can be got on the website. Okay? So I will take you through the details of the application template. We have a simple template that we shall be working through. We expect proposals to be not so big, maybe not more than 10 pages. And that will be determined by the number of words that are prescribed per section, which you'll be working through. So, as I mentioned, we have 3 categories, and I'll take you through the template for the mature stage category, which will be a little more detailed, especially in the governance area. We want to know more about you, and that check table outlines what elements of your proposal that you must make sure that all those are filled. So once you open, you'll see the Green Challenge Fund. That's the application kind of reference information, and you should be clear about the stage that you are applying through. So you should be clear about the template, because there are different templates that we are using in this stage. So this gives us, I know it may not be as clear, but I picked this from the system that we shall be using, so that when I'm sharing it with you, and when you go to the system, you are interfacing with the same form that you've been spoken to. So this is a checklist of what we expect from the mature stage, the growth stage. So one is the application form. First of all, you'll be expected to submit a very small concept note. And this concept note is the one which, when we have reviewed it, then, okay, the stage is you submit a concept note, we review it very quickly, and then it takes you to the full template where you should be able to submit a full proposal. So this is the checklist, application form, the results chain, framework, the power of attorney, then the audit report for the last 2 financial years, and the rest. So these you have to be sure that you have them ready as part of your submission. So when you have checked and you are sure you have those, then you go to the next page to start your application. You'll interface with this section 1 of the eligibility criteria, and we spoke about having been registered, for at least 2 or 3 years. So you'll have to click that to show that you are registered, or not. Does the organization have at least 3 years of experience? You should be able to answer that. This is a drop-down kind of menu, so you should be able to answer those in respect to what your organization is. Then you'll also be expected to confirm if the application has if you, the applicant, has no previous record of funds mismanagement, at aBiD, this is very key. We are intolerant to mismanagement of resources, so you must be sure to answer to that. But also there will be a process of ascertaining that that's the true information that you are submitting. Then you should also be in position to indicate whether you are a profit or non-for-profit organization. And either way, you are not restricted. This call is open, but be clear to indicate which category you fall. Then section 2, here we are looking at the legal structure of your institution, and you'll follow the template to fill in. And then we also are interested in the shareholding of your company. Those of you who have interfaced with aBiD, you know all this process. It's once you establish, then all this information should be clear. And as we said, if you are applying at that level, then this should be clear information for you to quickly go through. Then next is the management structure. We are looking at the board, the details of the members and their qualifications, and then the details of the audit firm that you work with, the name of the audit company, the contact person. All this is to show and detail the kind of governance systems that you have in place, so that we are sure we are dealing with a credible institution. Also, we are interested in the management structure of your institution, and that form requests you to list all the management team that you work with. And section 4 takes us to the I can call it the technical aspects now of the proposal. So that's section 4. And as I said, I picked these from the system so that you see how the system is arranged, so that once you go out of here, then you quickly know and can easily relate when you are making your submission. So the first aspect, we want to know the kind of agribusiness activities you are involved in. So we have provided for a maximum of 300 words, and you should be able, in that brief description, to tell us what you are as an agribusiness. Or if you are not an agribusiness, tell us the relationship that you have with agribusiness, okay? So I think that should be clear. And then the next, you should be able to very briefly describe the climate or environmental challenge that you are trying to address, okay? We expect that you have done, you have been in the sector first of all, you have interfaced with these climate challenges, these environmental challenges, and you are in a position to describe very clearly the problem that you are trying to solve with this innovation that you are putting across. So we have a maximum of 300 words that should be able to explain this properly. Now, section 5, this one now goes straight into what you are planning to do, the kind of innovation you are trying to bring on the table. So the first aspect is to clearly describe your project objective. And this is given a maximum of 500 words. And as we said, your project objective must be addressing either of the three, or more than one of the three. So you should be able to clearly articulate your intervention under adaptation, your intervention under mitigation, or environmental or biodiversity conservation. Okay? And at this stage, if you are not able to clarify that, then you, you run a risk of, because you know that the following sections, if your objective is not well aligned, then it means whatever follows is not equally aligned to what we are talking about. Then section B is the business idea, the kind of innovation that you are trying to bring on table. How viable is it, commercially? How scalable is it? How innovative? Has it been tried out elsewhere? If yes, how has it performed? If not, how do you think it will help the agribusiness sector in solving those climate or environmental challenges? So the business idea must come out very clearly to show the value proposition of your idea. As I said, agribusiness, of course, is key to the development agenda, both of your business but also for the country. So we are looking at the ability of this innovation to create jobs, for instance, to generate income, and also contribute to the marginalized communities. Social inclusion here is very key, and we are speaking very strongly to this. So when you are describing your project idea, your development impact, all this should be put in mind to show how you are contributing to this development agenda. Then implementation and feasibility, that's another kind of area we are expected to show our relevance in this respect. So here we are looking at how our project or how your idea is structured in terms of how you plan to implement it. So the implementation structure must be very clear. For NGOs, some of them are not directly into agribusiness. You may want to partner with a commercial entity, and these partnerships are welcome. So in that case, if it's a joint venture, if it's a partnership, then you should be in a position to clearly, articulate the structure of how you intend to operate. And then, of course, speak to any risks that your intervention might face, and you should be able to clearly articulate the mitigation measures of those risks that you anticipate as part of your project. Then, of course, also the work plan. You must show the time frame very clear, but it must also fit in the time frame we have shared with you. This is very important. There must be a clear alignment to both aBiD and also the national priorities. As we said, we are supporting agribusiness, focusing on 7 value chains, but looking at that ultimate impact of creating jobs, creating incomes, and improving livelihoods. So you must be aligned to aBiD's mission, values, and also stick to the value chains that we prioritize, and also the national priorities in the climate change space. And then section 6, which is the budget. aBiD usually has a detailed structure of budgeting, but here we are saying, since this is maybe this does not have like the first sections of the governance structure that apply that applies to the mature category. So on the first page, you should be able to tick the category under which you are submitting your proposal. So you should be able to tick acceleration or pilot or ideation, depending on where you lie. So you'll have your company details or contact details. It may not be a company already, because we said it may not have registered already, but if the name is there, especially for the ideation category, please do that. If you have not registered, still put your contact details, the project title, and the rest of the details that can identify you. The rest of the sections actually are the same as the sections that we went through under the growth stage. So section 1 here, as you can see, we skipped the other administrative requirements. So we are quickly going to the description of your agribusiness activities, and straight away we go to the description of the problem, the same, project idea, project objective, then business idea, then the development impact, implementation, and feasibility. So these apply to all the three. The difference, as I said, is only the governance section and the management section that apply to only the growth or mature stage SMEs. So I will not take much time into this. It also ends in the same way with signing off your application. So I will quickly take you through the evaluation criteria. And as we said, we are trying to be as much open as possible. We are also sharing all those details to see how your ideas or how your projects will be evaluated. This is also a short presentation. It's a few slides. And basically the evaluation template reflects the same template that we used to submit, or the same template that we shall use to submit our proposals. So this will be evaluated per aspect, each of the aspects we went through, and we shall be doing it at the scale of 1 to 4, and the scale of 1 meaning poor, then fair, good, and excellent in that order. And poor meaning, for instance, your project objective does not rhyme with the focus of this Green Challenge Fund. So the evaluator should be able to judge whether you are aligned to climate change adaptation or mitigation or conservation, depending on how you present your idea. Then if it's fair, still it will be evaluated the same way until at the end. So the form covers the project objective, then the business idea, how well developed your idea is, whether you have, scanned through the system, the market space, your competitors. So this speaks to the kind of understanding about the sector in which you are trying to cause a contribution. Then we shall also be looking at the potential, for the project to become commercially viable. The same aspects you will be using to develop your ideas under each of the project areas are the same aspects you shall be using to evaluate. Then I spoke to innovation, how unique your idea is. So we shall also be awarding based on that. So you must make sure that your idea is as unique as possible, as innovative, and contributes significantly to the sector. Then the development impact, the ability to create jobs, the ability to generate income, the same things that I said that we used to. So this will run through all the project aspects. that we spoke to, implementation and feasibility. How well described, sound, or realistic the implementation plan is. You know, what's the capacity and commitment of the key commercial partner for those who will be submitting in partnership with other entities. Then the risks, I spoke to the risks. Have you identified the risks that you anticipate to come across? What measures have you put in place to address them? So that one will equally be assessed. Then also the budget. And then I think this is the last one on how you are aligned to aBiD priorities and also the national context in regard to climate change and also environmental management. So the scores out of this evaluation, of course, will be added together, averaged together, and of course, those projects that will score in the direction of excellent, downwards, will be given the priority to be supported. So if we don't get enough of the excellence, then we shall be forced to go down at the second level of the good, then vice versa, until the fund is exhausted. Yeah, so I think that's it. Thank you so much. This gives a brief summary of the application guidelines, the templates that we shall use to submit our proposals, and also the evaluation of these proposals. And as I said, we shall make sure as much as possible we stick to the time frame that we provide to deliver this Green Challenge Fund. Thank you so much. I can end it here.
Thank you very much, Richard. Richard Mwesigwa is our sustainability specialist, so he's the go-to guy at the moment. So Richard's email is also on the advert that came out today in the paper, so I'd just like to repeat it from here. Any queries, any information that you require, richard.mwesigwa@abi.co.ug. The fund goes live today on our website, so for more information you can already log in, www.abi.co.ug. Just to stress, your interventions must be addressing climate adaptation, mitigation, or biodiversity conservation. It is not one or the other. You can do across or you can do, but the emphasis is on those three. Our grants are managed through a grants management system. It's an end-to-end system, right from application to the end. I would like to take about 20 minutes to have a go on the online application process, particularly address those key issues that our partners have had in registering in the system. So I'll ask Mr. Ayub Isabirie to do a small demo of the online grants management system, particularly at the registration stage. Because of technical challenges, Ayub will present from the back. Mr. Ayub Isabirie, the floor is yours.
MIS officer, stroke the sysadmin, working for aBiD. So I'm here to present the practical session on how you can actually successfully apply for or submit your concept and as well as the application. To do this, we have actually put all the information on the website that you require to submit your concept and the application. So if you access our website, on the landing page, there are two companies that you will see. We have aBiD Development, and then we have aBiD Finance Limited. So I understand for us, all of us who are in this room, we are here because of the aBiD Development. aBiD Finance, they are the other side, but still you can navigate through everything, but you never know, maybe there can be some information for you that you require as you write your concepts and application. So we now you open aBiD or you click on aBiD Development. When you open aBiD Development, you hover around aBiD Development, and then you go to applying for an aBiD grant. Now, when you open this section, it will take you to this page. We have put this link in the papers as well as in the brochures that you have. And when you put in that link in the URL section, it will be able to take you to this page or to bring you to this page. And we have tried to put the steps that that actually applicants go through to get we have, if you can see on my left-hand side, you see where I'm actually moving the cursor. We have the process there, which starts with submitting the concept note, and then it will take you through, or it will show you the process that you will go through. You submit the concept note. When we receive, we will score. I think Richard talked about the scoring bit. Then after, if you successful, then you receive a link to enable you submit your full application. So let me move to the right-hand side where we have the Green Challenge Fund brochure. If you can, you see these are hyperlinks. We have 1, 2, 3. Now the first one is the Green Challenge Fund brochure. Now that brochure is detailed. It has all that is required for you to apply. It has, I remember the previous speakers talked about the 3 categories. That is the growth stage. You can actually read more about the growth stage. And you can also read about the acceleration and the ideation. So those are the areas that you can actually find. So in other words, let us I'm not going to, when you open one, for example, it will download the document that is now the funding or the guidelines, which have more details about the Green Challenge Fund. Moving away from that, now, after you have made your selection of either you are going to apply for growth stage, then let's start with the growth stage. It will take you to this page where you are required to submit your concept. But to submit the concept, you need to register or log into the system. Now, here I want to talk about 3 things. Those that are already working with the ABI. Let me say the active implementing partners. You don't need to come and register again. What you need to do is to go straight to the grants management system, log in, you access on the main menu, you access opportunity. If you can allow me to log in here, let me first log in here. I show you. I'm trying to log in. Now, those that have the account already or are implementing with us, what you do, you just access opportunity. If you can check on the left-hand side, you go to opportunity, and then the two the applications are here. You can actually, the first one is the acceleration or ideation. The second one is the growth stage. So you just go to view opportunity and upload your concept. So you come to this section and submit, upload and submit the concept. So that is for those who have their account or those that are implementing with us. Now we also have people who have actually tried applying, and you already created an account with us. You do not need to come again here and register, because already you have the account. The only thing you have to do is use your account. Okay, use your account, log in, and then you access these opportunities. Now, for those that are just actually new here on the page, what you will need to do is you go to create an account. You come to create an account and fill in these details here. You fill in those details. Now, after filling those details, it will tell you that they have sent you an activation email in your inbox. Now, the inbox, we are talking about the email that you are using to open up the account. Now, here, let me just say one thing, that please use emails for the institution or organizations. Don't use personal emails, because what is happening is that sometimes people leave organizations and then they don't leave behind what? The credentials for these systems. So you find that people have issues, they have to come back to us. Remember, this is like a Gmail. You know, when you open up a Gmail account, you don't actually chase the Gmail people to reset for you things. You know, if you forget, sometimes people end up actually creating new accounts. So in other words, what we are saying is let us use email addresses that we, you know, 1 or 2, 3 people can have access to. You know, but if we use personal, anything can happen. You know, and then resetting this becomes a little bit hard for us. So once you fill this information, it will send you the activation link in the email. Now, what you do is you go to, it normally goes to junk or spam, because some people create, then they go to their inbox, they look for the email is not there. So check your the spam emails or junk email. You find that activation email in there. I think with that, the rest of the information, you find it on the website. In the advert that is in the papers, we have put our contacts, just in case you have issues with creating the account. Please get to us as early as possible, so that you don't miss out on this. We have put a deadline. Remember, in the guidelines, you will see those details. So the deadline for the concept, we are put to 31st July. So when you miss that, you will not be able to submit your full application. So let's work around with that deadline. Okay. So with that, I beg to stop there. Thank you so much for listening to me. And let's move on.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ayub aBiD. I think it's important that you give us your number in case of any challenges.
Okay, I will give you two numbers. One is 0788 73 58 66. 0788 73 58 66. The second number is 0700 49 3795. 0700 49 3795. Please call me, you know, on issues about the system. You know, if you have, don't let it be about the system. You know, you can call me anytime, so as long as it is about what? The system. I have no problem. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. So our next session is the Q&A. Do you have mics around? Richard, I'll ask that you stand at the podium as I move the mics as the questions come in. So our grants management system is, as I said, an end-to-end system in the spirit of being green. Don't bring a concept to our reception or an application. Everything is online. Those who have stayed longer with us also know that all the reporting and everything to do with the grant is managed online. So that's the way we are going. This is the time for Q&A. Any question that has not been answered, we will give it about 20 minutes to lunch.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to make an inquisition to Mr. Ayub. You mentioned when you're creating an account for a first-time user, and say the second stage you mentioned it could be personal or it could be company. So in the event I want to use my personal email address for a second either acceleration or ideation, is that okay? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Eli. My question is, when I want to write an application, can I be able to peruse through the whole system before and then pick out those issues that I want to write about, write them on a separate piece of paper, then later I come filling in after doing my rough work. The way we used to do it at school. You write your rough work aside before you engage the application online. Thank you.
Okay, well, maybe we take five and then we go to the next batch.
Thank you very much. I'm called Irene. I work with MMP Agro, and probably I'm the only one in the room that is in the operation area of Karamoja, Kapelebyong, these areas that have issues of security. But you're there and you're still working. So, and we want to apply for this grant for those areas as well. So, should we be concerned that you'll just put us in the bin just because you're in areas where you think it's not safe to be anymore?
Thank you so much. My name is Razak Omia. I work for Omia Agribusiness. My question is about evaluation based on management and governance, how that is going to vary according to the 3 different categories? Because as growing businesses, in the beginning we have challenges with management and governance. So will the businesses that are in the ideation and piloting stage be given as a consideration different from those in the growth stages? Thank you.
A hand in the room, yeah.
Thank you. I'm asking about let me put it right. What if I registered in 2017, but I've been at the Centenary Bank till my registration certificate is reading 2017, but I've never done anything with the profile of, with that certificate of registration. Can I apply as an startup, the ideation stage? Because I've not been performing. I've been busy with Centenary or with aBiD. Now I want to go private. But I registered in 2017 with the URSP. Thank you.
Okay, those are 5. Let's first handle this, then we go to the next 5. So Ayub, you have, I think, two questions, and then Richard 3. Ayub? So the question was whether you make the application online, or you can first do rough work and then upload. So that was the question. Then the second one was on personal emails usage.
Let me start with doing the rough. Now, once you submit the concept, and then you are supposed to submit your full application. What happened is that we have put all the templates on the first page of the application section. Once you land there, you download everything, then you fill. You can discuss with other people that you want. Once you finalize with that, then you upload once. Another one was about using personal emails. Yes, you can use personal emails. So as long as you know that maybe you will share with somebody those credentials. The challenge is that when you want to change something, that is the primary account, which can actually enable us to change anything on your side. So every time we make updates on our side, everything goes to that email created. So if there's no access to that primary account, it becomes a little bit difficult for us to do business.
Okay, Richard, the next 3 were yours.
Yeah, straight to Irene's question, whether Karamoja or anywhere in the country, I think I made this clear that the fund is open for applications from any part of the country. Obviously, the issue of security is key, but that shouldn't be a limitation because it's not part of our criteria, whether it's a security infested area or not. So feel free to have your idea. If you are able to come from there and you are here, how hard can it be for us to have a project implemented there? So that shouldn't be a limitation at all. Okay. Then on evaluation, as I said in the eligibility criteria, those governance aspects only apply to that maturity stage, the growth stage category. So the rest, we are not so much interested in whether you are registered, whether you have a board, whether you have a VAT registration or an SSF registration and the like. So the ideation and the pilot categories, those governance and management requirements don't apply. Okay, so you are able to submit as an individual scientist, as a researcher, but if you have a company registered, submit through your company, okay, so that you get recognized through your company, and that of course helps you in terms of growth. But for those who are not registered, are not strong on the ground, then once your idea is good and is appreciated, it's evaluated and approved, then you should have the opportunity to benefit from the business development services that we also offer as part of aBiD services. So that can also be an area you need to benchmark for areas that you are not strong in. Then that could be an opportunity, and that's part of growth that we are looking at. We are looking at incubating your businesses, so capacity development, governance, support services, business support services will all be part of the package to grow you to a bigger entity. As long as the innovation is clear, as long as the business idea is attractive and benefits agribusiness. I think also this answers the last question, whether you were registered in 2017 and maybe you have not been active as such. Then you can apply through the other categories, the ideation, the pilot stage categories, so that you use that opportunity to grow, to strengthen your operations as a company as you grow. As I said again, our emphasis is on the idea. Is your idea attractive? Is it innovative? Is it competitive? Okay, those are the areas we are more interested in, and then the rest of the capacity, the rest of the services can come along the support you get through the Green Challenge Fund. I think those were the three. We could have more questions.
The next batch of questions. So the evaluation criteria will be different for each category of applicants.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you. I'm called Robert Kugonza Akiki, and I'm working with an NGO called Friends with Environment in Development. The question is also supporting the investor. Financial statements for 2 years. So to those who are startups and probably not registered and don't have financial statements for 2 years qualify?
My question is, if I've just been awarded a grant from aBiD for the last few months, which has just started, am I still eligible to apply for this particular one?
Okay.
My name is Emmanuel. I'm Brano from Gromo Seeds. I want to ask if there would be a condition for co-funding for the continuing partners or for the growth category partners.
Is there another mic on the other side?
Hello, my name is Gloria with Brain Pass Limited. My question is, can one organization submit more than one idea?
Thank you.
One more, then we deal with that.
Thank you. If we're 7 startups and we kind of complement each other in our thinking, in our working, would the budget allowance, in that case, if we want to become a merger or to have a merger or to work towards the idea, would a budget allowance be multiplied accordingly? We have different interdependent ideas that all complement each other. We are 7 startups. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm a farmer researcher. I just wanted to clarify from you. It's like this work, your finances much of online submissions. I'm looking at the fact, considering the fact that, for example, like where I'm from in the cattle corridor, you find people have the capacity, but because of the limited access to online submission, some they don't know. Are there any strategies that you have laid down to ensure that these people can also be considered to tap in such opportunities? Thanks.
Okay, let's first handle that batch, then we'll have one last round and we close. I'll just answer a few of them quickly to save time.
Sure.
The issue of the financial statements, that eligibility criteria was for those in the growth stage. So the 2-year financial statements are only for the more mature companies. So the startups and those that are piloting will not require that. There was a question on new IPs, those who have recently signed new projects, are we still eligible? We are looking at ideas. Bring the idea. If it's compelling enough, we will look at it. As we said, we are open. There was a question on the co-funding. Co-funding is not a requirement. It's not a requirement, given how inclusive we want to be, but also the kind of companies we're looking at. And ideas, I'm saying it's ideas for testing. So the risk is higher. We would welcome co-funding, yes, but we would not make it a requirement. What is going to compel us to partner with you is how compelling the idea is. Yeah. Can we apply for more than one idea? Yes, you can. You can apply for more than one idea. We will finance the idea that gives us the biggest return for our buck. There was a question that came online. What's the duration for applying, the deadline? If you missed it, the concepts must be in by the 31st of July. So you've got 2 weeks to do the concepts, and if you miss those 2 weeks, you cannot apply. So the concept stage is the first stage, and only those who have submitted concepts by the 31st of July will be able to proceed to submit applications, whose deadline is then 31st of August. Yeah, so we are clear on that. Then after that, we will take it on the due diligence process, and we're looking at having projects under implementation by November. But our aim is to expedite this process. We will invest a lot of time
startups, and I think the worry was, will the money be enough? based on the budget allocations for average. I think it would be wise if you submitted this as independent startups, although you show the linkage with maybe the hub. Is that an incubation hub of some sort? Otherwise, if you submit the 7 under one submission, then the budget might not be enough. It would be, I think, wise to submit them independently, but show the partnership, show the linkage with the hub under which you are trying to incubate these pilots, these startups. So then you would benefit from maybe a bigger budget in that regard. But also, if you submitted them as one, I mean, if you submitted them independently, then at least you have more chances of having some qualify, and maybe others may not. So I think that would be the right idea. Then on online submissions, yeah, those who are not able to access the online services, I think those will be unfortunate. All submissions are required to come through online. And also our GMS system, the way aBiD operates, it's an online system. Even the way our partners report, the way we interact with our partners, everything is done online. So maybe that could be a limiting factor for some of those potential applicants you are talking about. But I would encourage them to try as much as possible, get the online services to enable them submit the proposal.
Okay, let's take the last round. It is your questions standing in between us and lunch. Any other questions? There is an online question here. There is no other due diligence that will be done for those at the ideation stage. Now, when you submit to us your idea, of course we will get in touch with you and try and understand really what you are doing. So we are not going to just get a random idea and sit at aBiD and give the money. When you submit your idea, we shall interrogate the idea. We shall try and know this person who is applying. So that is the kind of due diligence we will do. So there is definitely, any investor will do some due diligence. We will do due diligence, but it will be different. It's not the usual due diligence. If you're used to our due diligences, they are more elaborate. This will be light, but definitely we will need to know you. Just like the banks have KYC, know your customer. We shall get to know you before we part. In the room, is there any other question? Looks like we are all happy, so let me then thank you.
And also thank you so much for your attention and looking forward.
So on behalf of aBiD, we are eternally grateful for your presence this morning as we launch the Green Challenge Fund. Key reminders for the launch. One, we are tackling climate change adaptation, climate change mitigation, and biodiversity conservation. Those are the investment areas. Information is on our website at www.abi.co.ug with a lot more, including even the sample investment areas. So there are specific investment areas that we are targeting, that we know will enable us address the climate change issues. Deadlines, concept deadline is
31st of July. Apply through the website. And if you go past the concept note stage, then you get into application. So we will review the concepts very fast and get back to you. The application deadline is 31st of August. Thereafter, we take it on. Be sure to know where you're applying. You're either at growth stage, the mature companies, you're either at ideation, or you're at pilot and acceleration. So that's the information I want to pass on. We are open to answer any queries. We will stay around, meet over lunch, or a few minutes after lunch. Any questions that you have, I will be able to answer. And we may organize a session again where we come to answer your questions, if need be, or even online, such that everyone is aware. We are as transparent as possible. The issue, what sells is the idea that addresses the problem at hand. So with that, thank you very much. We look forward to receiving ideas from you. We look forward to partnering with you and addressing the climate change issues at hand as we create more jobs in Uganda and create wealth in this nation. Thank you. Have a great lunch.
Hello. I don't want to keep you any longer, but just to say on behalf of aBiD, a big thank you for giving us your time this morning. The Green Challenge Fund is now live. It has been launched. It's very exciting. Thank you again to the development partners and shareholders, and to our VVIPs today, the implementing partners as well. We have high expectations from you, so we are looking at you to provide solutions that will enhance Uganda's adaptation, mitigation, and biodiversity conservation in relation to climate change. I think we have said that quite a few times. I am Crystal Newman. It's been my absolute pleasure being your host today. Thank you again, and do enjoy your lunch. You are welcome to lunch.
Fly away my The world is full of joy. You cry, you smile, and you dance. Oh, but baby, even though sometimes it's a drag to toil without a gain, you cry, you smile, and you dance. Celebrating life is real, but not without a cry. Celebrating life is good, but not without a smile. Celebrating life is sweet, but not without a dance. Celebrating life with you, with everything it brings. Won't you fly away, my heart, don't despair. The world is full of joy. You cry, you smile, and you dance. Over day, north, east, south, west, I can see people of the world. They cry, they smile, and they dance. Celebrating life is real, but not without a cry. Celebrating life is sweet, but not without a smile. Celebrating life is good, but not without a dance. Celebrating life with you, with everything it brings. Hey, to the boy you believe, said about a name. Fly away, my heart. The world is full of joy. Oh no way. Once you cry, then you dance, then you smile. The world is full of happiness. Oh, me, so why don't you cry and smile and dance? So why